This is the Awkward Handshake, a podcast about networking, business, and what really happens in the room.
We're unpacking the good, the bad, and the awkward so you can build better connections and get paid.
Let's get into it. This is our finale.
We made it.
We have some people who have been listening to us all the way through. A holler.
Yay.
Love you to pieces. Thank you so much for the support. We did want to pull out things that have kind of stalked us through to the end of the season. Some of the most notable ones, starting with, if you are good at networking, you will always come out ahead. Y'all need to build the skill. And even if you're kind of good at it or you think you're good at it, you still need to build the skill. Like, you're never done building.
No. And people will think you're just lucky, but it's not. You've worked very hard. You are always seeing opportunity. You are always connecting people. You are always building trust. You're just going to be light years ahead of somebody who refuses to go out the door or get on the online call.
How often do you think people think other people are lucky when it turns out it's just honest to goddess hard work?
That's how I think about it too. And you see it on social, right? Somebody ends up collaborating with somebody huge. Mm-hmm. We don't see the behind the scenes. You've met people, they want to be Stephen Colbert. They want to be Amy Poehler. They want to have a huge podcast, right?
Yeah.
But they have, 30 years
of doing
leading
reps
up to that to get what you just see now. And so I do think the sooner you get better at networking, the faster you can start moving toward the things that you want.
Well, I'm going to say a hot take here.
Okay.
I think that in order to get to the sooner, better at networking part, you have to do really unsexy things like go to networking events and meetups that you might not really love or you think you're superior to. Cough, cough, go back and listen to Micah's episode. About what superiority complex really means, and that you might need to pull some reps in areas that you just aren't really that thrilled about, or they just aren't very glamorous, but they're important, and those people are still important. And, the whole thing is reminding me in college at University of Michigan, I was on the Ballroom dance team, and on Sundays, we were responsible for attending the community ballroom club, which had not just students, but anybody could go. We would teach the beginner lessons and we would also then partake in just open dancing. And our coaches would be there, and there was this rule, and they were like, if you were there, you were not allowed to dance with your regular partner at all. And if they caught you dancing with your regular partner, it was like 40 lashes with a wet noodle. And it was very tempting because anytime you could squeak in practice time with your partner, you would. But the problem is when you're always dancing with the same person, each of you has blind spots and bad habits, and you start compensating for them. And when you dance with people you've never danced with, especially people who are not as good as you find your weak spots so quickly. And I feel like networking is kind of like this. You need to go to rooms where people may not be as interesting as you think they are compared to you, or not as advanced in doing whatever as compared to you, or whatever. And you need to do it because it's going to show you how good are you at conversation. Can you carry that conversation with this person? Can you be generous and help someone feel at ease and welcome enough that you can have some kind of engaging interaction? Are you a good dance partner? I think more people need to do it.
The thing that came to mind is, especially for tech, if you don't go to a startup event, how good are you at explaining what you do?
Totally.
When you're now in a room of people who don't like AI,
yes.
What do you do?
Oh,
how do you? I know.
I would love to see them navigate that. But yeah, do you go to your local Chamber of Commerce meeting that's got all of the real estate agents and all of the financial investors, and can you still engage with them on a quality level, human to human? Because if they understand what you're doing, then you're going to be fine in the other room.
I actually thought when you said it's going to take a little bit of, I thought you were going to say therapy.
I mean, maybe also that, but
yeah.
I think everybody should be going to therapy in some way, shape, or form. I think this is really it, finding the courage to say yes. And you don't have to be as crazy as we were last year, go to as many things as we did. But I think if you're not at least hitting one thing a month, that to me seems really low. But if you haven't gone to anything, one thing a month is going to feel like a lot. I would also say that if you always go to the same thing every month, go to that plus one new thing. Like we had Polly and Oliver on, and like we see so many of the people go to every single Unlock Collective networking group, and that's quarterly. But it's like if you never miss that without fail, it's like then you have the muscles to go to one more thing too.
The other good thing about going to new places or places that have nothing to do with what you might be doing or offering is that if you crash and burn, it doesn't really matter. You cannot go back. Those people won't see you again. So goodness knows I've had many an unhinged, awkward conversation and then left and been like, well, good thing they won't see me. And it wasn't always like on me for that. Sometimes it was the other person. I'm like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to see X again. Our paths will never cross.
I've had plenty where I have been like, wow, I was real weird tonight. But I'm going to say something here. I think sometimes this is where you have to really reflect for yourself, because sometimes you're like, man, I was terrible tonight. And sometimes what you're feeling is discomfort, because I will get terrible head trash. All of quarter one, I was in rooms bigger than I feel like I had ever been in before. I was on stages in ways that I had not been visible before. And I will tell you, the head trash was large and in charge. And I was talking to people and I was like, oh my God, I was so awkward, whatever. And when I reflected on it more, I was like, well, this is discomfort at talking with people at levels I'm not used to having direct contact with. It didn't mean that I was terrible at networking. It didn't even mean that the conversation was terribly awkward. And so sometimes you kind of want to check yourself and say, like, maybe where you're at is like, run away, run away. And that is what you do for this season and you go back later. But don't be so quick to judge that it's always run away just because you felt discomfort. Discomfort is not always a bad thing. Like there's a difference between bad discomfort and productive discomfort. I think learning to recognize that, you have to do it. It can't be theory.
Well, and I think a lot of times the other person doesn't really notice.
If anything, I bet they also are in the back of their minds like, I think I'm being really awkward in this moment. Run away, run away.
Famous saying that I always heard when I was doing yoga, which is like, comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is just your norm now.
One of our other big topics that's been stalking us is, are you actually connecting with humans or are you just talking at people? This was not my choice. This was your choice, girl.
I know. Just calling everybody out.
But it's a good choice. It is a very, very fair point to make, because this exact thing has been showing up, I think, in every single episode. You can't pretend like this isn't a thing.
And it's not always intended to be disingenuous. I think a lot of people don't check in with themselves. It's still like, how am I showing up in this room? How am I interacting with this community? What are my intentions at this event? You know, what do I want to get out of it? What do I have to offer? And they just kind of run on autopilot.
Because as business owners, you are trying to meet some benchmarks of a literal bottom line, aka money goals. You can walk into a place and of course you're always thinking about your money goals. Yep. But if that is such a driving force in every conversation, it warrants a bit of a check and a balance. Like, you've got to figure out, if I so desperately need money now, legitimately, my bank account is screaming at me, that's when you're like, is this room going to give me what I need? And if it's not, like, maybe set this one out. Maybe go actually do the work of true client acquisition and keep working on that until you get paid a little bit. Come back to the room so that it's not taking over all of your social capital in your brain, all the things coming out of your mouth. Because you and I've experienced this, and a lot of our guests have been on the microphone also talking about similar experiences where people are just like, and this is what I do, and buy my thing, and get on my list.
Well, and I think nobody wants to do business with someone desperate. No. You can smell it. Instead, one suggestion that I was given by a sales coach, which applies to this, is think about yourself as making X amount of money. For her, it was like, the person who makes $100,000, the version of you that makes that from your business shows up, operates in a very different way than the person who only makes $50,000 or $5,000. And so if you can step into that $100,000 or $200,000 version version of you, you are much more attractive to other people because you're calm, you're competent, confident. Like you just radiate different things than somebody who's like, where's the ATM? I need it now. And can you help me right now? My business is on fire, you know? And for somebody like me, I think you might have it too, but like I tend to try to take away people's agency. And I'm like, oh my God, you need my help. Let me think of all the people that I could send you to. And it's not my job to fix your business, even though I might want to. You also might be so desperate right now, you can't take the life raft or you're going to sink me too, you know, you're drowning. So I think some of it is think about what that successful version of you, how would they network? Because it's going to be very different.
I love that. As I used to always say to my coaching clients, put on your CEO pants. And it was never a hat. You know, people are like, you wear all these different hats. And I'm like, yeah, but I was like, there's a very visceral feeling of having your pants on or not having your pants on. And sometimes you need to like summon up the feeling of, wow, I have not been wearing pants this entire time. Like go put your pants on and then come into the room.
And think of yourself as something that everybody wants instead of you needing them.
When you're not talking at people, the opposite of that is listening. And the art of listening has come up so many times this season. I think Dinesh's episode was one of the best ones where we talked about listening. When you are listening, you get data. And I think if you're having trouble with your bottom line, you probably need some data. And if you are able to stay in a conversation and listen more than you talk, and you tell somebody about what you offer, because they're going to ask, and you tell them about what you do, and they're kind of like, huh? You can tell them like, well, you know, what does that mean to you? Or say more words. Get them to talk. Yeah. The more you just talk out of uncomfortableness, the bad kind of discomfort, then you're not really actually getting the benefit you could be getting out of that room.
Yeah, because you might end up you might learn it either needs to be a rephrasing of what I offer. It might be that they're not understanding the value. It might be that your offer isn't needed.
Well, that's a hard one.
It is, but we know people true. Just get an idea into their head and they're like, this is the business, I'm going to go run with it. And we're like, yeah, have you done any market research? Because I think there's an AI for that.
It can be really hard to hear other people either give you a kind and friendly pity conversation where they're like, oh, how nice for you. Oh, I love that for you.
Yes.
And it's like, you got to be able to pay attention to that. And I think it's really hard when it's happening. It has happened to all of us. And if it's not happening to you, I don't know, maybe you're a unicorn or maybe you just don't take very big swings, but it's going to happen. That's when you really want to listen to those cues to have other people tell you, well, what would you really need? I just think it was such a good point when you were like, we need to talk about people talking at other people.
It's like talk less, listen more.
Big lesson from this season. The other big lesson that showed up was showing up, like literally showing up and showing up regularly. And that when you show up, and you are generous, so you're not just another body in the room, but you're actually being generous, that generosity is not necessarily always about money. Like you've paid for a ticket, that is one form of generosity, or volunteering for something, that is a form. But being generous is like showing support when you know a community really needs support, or showing up and helping other people in the room feel welcome, even if it's just one person. That's one less awkward person in the room. And sometimes those people become your best contacts because you made them feel safe.
Yeah. And I would even say I don't see it much, but like share the event before the event.
Oh my God, that's huge.
Right?
Huge.
Yeah. Shout it out. I'm going to this. Are you going to come? Can't wait to go.
Yeah.
So easy.
Tagging people, but even sharing privately. Like I keep thinking to Nedra, she's all the way at the beginning of the season. She leads quiet networking. Introverts are not going to be necessarily the most rambunctious of crowds. And if you are an introvert, you might have a tighter network and you might not be posting like crazy all over LinkedIn. Although, I don't know, maybe you're a LinkedIn queen. Props to you if you are. But you can send a direct message to another introvert that you know is hermiting real hard in this season. And you're like, boo, you need to come with me to this. And encourage each other to show up. It's like the buddy system at the gym. You will show up. I know I do. You and I became yes friends in this way, where it's like, I'm so tired today. I don't feel like doing this, but like this event only comes around around like 2 times a year. And I also went to this other thing. And you're like, but I need to go there. I need to see that person and have a touch point, or I need to get some data about something or whatever. And we're like, we're going. And we have a rule where we're like, we show up, period, full stop. And if at any point we're like, I gotta go, like I am done. And we're like, all right, we're done. And just like Micah was explaining, like you might lap the room once and be like, and I did exactly what I came to do. I showed up and I'm out.
And that's enough.
And it goes so much further faster than just like not showing up. It just like continues to sound so ridiculous coming out of my mouth, but it's like, but it's so huge.
I was raised with the catchphrase of, if you don't vote, you don't get to complain. And I kind of feel like it's, you don't get to complain if you don't go out of your house and into a room, virtual or otherwise. I don't really want to hear about how you have no clients if I know you don't do anything to get them. So like, well, what, how do you want me to commiserate with you? I'm so sorry. The internet does not know you exist, even though you don't let the internet know that you exist in any way, shape, or form. That sucks. Oh God, the algorithm. To show none of your posts because you don't have any.
There's no proof of life.
There's no proof of life and you don't live your life.
You know what I'm thinking in this very moment?
You sound like my grandpa.
You're aging, girl. You're aging. I'm thinking in this moment about our in-person versus virtual events on Zoom. And I'm thinking they need like slightly different nuances. Showing up in person is like obvious, like either you're there or you're not. And then on Zoom, it's, did you turn your camera on or not? I mean, you and I are both of the persuasion where we're like, I don't care if you're wearing sweatpants or pajama pants or yoga pants or whatever. You know how some people are like, look nice or whatever. I'm like, I really don't care. I do care if you just don't turn your camera on.
If you're lurking.
Like, that's not the same thing as being fully present.
Nope.
Like, you can't go to a physical event. I mean, well, you and I have seen people go to physical events and they hug the wall and they're on their phone.
Yep.
And I'm like, you're not, that's the equivalent of your camera being off on Zoom. You're not here.
Yes. Which, fine, like I had to do one today and I was eating. I didn't want to.
Yeah, like turn it off for a minute or two is one thing. But like, you know how people go and they just don't turn it on.
They don't turn it on and they're also not in the comments.
No, it's like, what are you doing?
Well, you're taking.
Ding, 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 ding. You win a prize. You win a prize.
You're not showing up for the community because there are ways to network, as Dinesh said in the chat. You know, you have your little 1 to 2 sentence thing. That's always your intro to who you are, where you're from, what you offer. Here's my link. I think there's just so many ways to be passive, but then I think you're not allowed to grumble. I mean, I'll pull out my tiniest violin. I'll be like, that sucks.
Realized that in the time that you and I have been yes friending, which has been a few minutes now, and now we have the podcast, so we've gotten very vocal about it. I have noticed that fewer people have come crying to me, and I have not pulled out my tiny little violin. Either you're learning and practicing, or you're like, maybe I'll go to a different source.
Complain to somebody else. I have noticed that too, yeah.
Because we've become no excuse zone. The last really big point, this is going to be a doozy, but do you know how people really talk about you when you're not in the room? Or if they even talk about you at all. There's that saying, and I'm totally butchering it, the best networking is when other people talk about you when you're not in the room, like they're hyping you up when you're not there. And that is one of the ultimate winning goals of networking, is that you have this banging network, you have genuine connections, they know what you do, they can explain what you do to other people. Huge hurdle to overcome. When you're not in the room and they meet someone, they're like, oh my gosh, you know who you need to talk to? You need to talk to Megan. You know what Megan does? Megan does this, whatever. And then the person's like, I must meet this Megan. And they're like, I shall put you in touch, you know, like that is the ultimate goal of networking. And I think so many people want that to happen without putting in the sweat equity. They're not showing up. They're not generous. They just talk at people. There's no two-way street. The skill is lacking. And I think you and I engage most highly with people whose skills are most definitely not lacking. Keep thinking about Dominic.
Yeah.
It's like great aggregator of events and a connector. We talked about it in his episode. And I think that really applies here.
I'm trying to think like if there's a reason why people don't get there. And I don't know that it's lack of empathy, because in my mind, the reason why you share somebody out and know how to explain what they do and know who they're looking for is because you have empathy and you generally like them, care about them, know about them, keep in touch, got a system. And we've had guests on like AI Portland who love to put 2 people together and you can help this person and you can collaborate. So I don't know that it's a lack of empathy or just a lack of caring.
I think think it's selfishness. I don't think it's about empathy.
Because we've tried to set this up a few times and it has imploded every time. And it's hard to watch because it doesn't
really
make
hard.
sense to us why it wouldn't work. But I think it really does take a special, well, it shouldn't take a special person, but it seems to take a special person that can equally care about others and themselves.
Yes. I mean, we know that super connectors and even just like more than average connectors are not the norm. I think all of us who engage in that way would love it to become more of the norm, but it takes work, it takes effort, and it also requires you to not be selfish. You have to want something in an instance more for that person than for yourself. Can you do it? And I don't know if it has to do with desperation or needing to meet those goals of the bottom line. The economy is weird. Marketing is hard right now. Sales are wonky. And the timelines that we used to be able to gauge things on are just way different. So I don't know if it is because people are just thinking about like, well, shit, I need to meet like a certain goal. And so like that priority comes before being generous in another way. But if anything, I think the world has proven again and again that those things are not mutually exclusive. They go together. To be more generous for someone else in a moment when you maybe need something, but nobody else is providing it just yet, it comes back to you tenfold. And rather quickly, I would say. You and I have had this come back to us quite quickly. We have been very generous in directions with people, and then it just is like feeding a black hole. And then we're like, okay, and I'm out. We've had people who, bless their hearts, are like, I'm being super generous. And it's like, I know you think you are. You'll get there, but I appreciate the effort, A for effort, and I will never turn away A for effort. But I do think that there is a certain amount of selfishness that when people are like, how come they're not talking about me? And it's like, well, what have you done for them? Did you even show up recently? Do you RSVP and then no show? And how many times do you do that repeatedly? Because people notice. And I think sometimes people forget the rules of social decorum still matter. If you repeatedly like just don't come or decline or are wishy-washy or show up and then kind of try to make it like you're not being generous. Like this isn't your personal sales room, which we have seen people do.
Yes.
Yep. Or if somebody's trying to collaborate with you and you never answer the messages, that happens.
That happens all the time. Or it's always very late. Deadlines get passed.
I mean, there's a lot of space and grace for people who are genuinely in a season of building and doing things.
Yeah.
And like that is a different conversation.
Yep.
But like there's a dismissal.
This is a yes, let's have a follow-up, let's chat. And then
nothing.
never. They will ghost you on every platform. I hunt them down. And you do. Not going to let you go. I want to talk to you. I'm like, I will send you direct messages, email, in your social post. I'm reminding you that I exist. And if you do not play ball, then it's like, okay, I don't want to work with you at that point because you're a hot mess or there's no respect. So it's like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. I think too, like we all have diverse friendships and circles. And so just because you're in one industry doesn't mean you don't know people in other industries. And word gets around pretty fast. So many of us have been discussing how small Portland really is. It's a metropolitan region, and especially the Vancouver side is growing rapidly. But we're not New York, LA.
No.
And we're not even the size of Seattle. And so people know each other pretty intimately, pretty quickly. Even if you are in, say, a tech sector and someone else is in some completely different sector. There's some notable companies in the area. People really talk. And I think sometimes, well, recently some names have been floated around and they have crossed paths in our conversations. And it's been really fascinating how many times it's like the same names. I wonder if sometimes people think like, oh, people are like, they love me. And it's like, I don't know if love is the term I would use, but you can develop a reputation pretty quickly. And I would say like if you are aware that your reputation is either entirely lacking, like people aren't talking about you at all, that's just a sign. You just need to get out there. You need to show up and start building the skill. People will start singing your praises before you even know it because it's not a big market. But yeah, if you're like, oh, why does everything seem to be falling flat? Well, maybe. Right. And that requires a little bit of self-reflection and humility to recognize like, oh, maybe I'm not being as generous as I think I am.
Well, and it always seemed odd to me too, because I might need clients, right? And I'm chatting with somebody and they have problems, and one of them I could solve. But it becomes apparent in talking to them that they have maybe already decided this is the main problem. I only want to fight so much. And then I'm like, you know what? You need a bookkeeper, because that is what you have decided is your first step. And they might be interested in what I have. But the best way to help them out, get them solvent, is a bookkeeper. Let me introduce you to somebody. And then when you have that problem sorted, and I have helped you do that, you're much more likely to come back. The sun is now shining for you. You're in a better place. But like, why try to sometimes work with somebody who is in a position that is not, the sun's not shining for their business?
Right.
Just help them get there if it's an easy lift for you. It's not that you've decided not to be selfish. It's like, it just makes more sense. You're not losing a sale. You weren't going to get that one. They could not need you in any way, but you know a really good person that could help them. So why would you not just
Like help them?
Yes, it doesn't cost you anything. An
Yeah.
email or just a name, and you pull it up on LinkedIn and they go, oh, this is great. And you'd be like, just mention my name. It seems so easy.
It seems so easy. And it's so weird talking about it because it's like, yeah.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Like, okay. But I think for some
doesn't
people,
happen.
it feels like a monumental lift. And
I think some people like hoard their Rolodexes, which doesn't make sense.
also that, and this theme came up over and over again, which is about scarcity. So many times with our guests, the topic has come up like there is enough to go around. Like we are not competitors. Think of The Princess Bride where he's like, I do not think that means what you think it means. And I see this so much in our area, and I'll double down on it. I know it's come up in our conversations throughout the season. I know I've already said it at least once before. I believe that the old paradigm of business and networking, which is very BNI like, not like shade on BNI. I know there's some people who love it and it works for them, like yay for you. But that structure is a very commonly used structure, which is like you have this circle of referral partners and there can only be one. There can only be one dentist and only one real estate agent and only one of this and one of that.
And you don't even know if they're good at their job.
Right. And that starts to infuse in other places because so many business coaching programs teach a BNI formula of how you explain what you do. And it's a formula sentence. It's like Mad Libs. Like, I serve fill in the blank to help them fill in the blank for the purpose of fill in the blank. That's a very valuable exercise in a lot of ways. Building a client avatar in that way is valuable, but it's not everything. To start to realize that you are never going to be the only one who does your fill in the blank, and to just get over it, and to start to realize that if you think somebody else is competition in the worst way, you have to ask yourself, do I really know what my niche is? Is this actually the same? Or do I simply not understand business markets? Because you can have two dentists in the same area and one of them does like dental reconstruction for elderly people. Let's get even more specific. And then the other one is like a pediatric dentist. You do not serve the same market. Are you both dentists? Yes. Are you competitors? Not really.
Yep.
We see this happen over and over again in the networking community where you see some people get a little weird about each other in rooms. And it's like, yo, dude, like you are not competitors. If anything, you should be helping each other because one of you is definitely going to get leads in at one point where you're like, the pediatric dentist gets an old dude and you're like, yeah, don't do 90-year-old mouths.
Yep.
But you know who does? My friend around the corner.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And it's a terrible example. I know. Somebody out there is like, oh my God, Mary. But it's obvious. And so you get
Yes.
it. And I feel like that alone could solve half of world peace at this point because there's just a lot of people fighting over things and maybe hoarding resources or their Rolodex or just not being generous out of just honestly ignorance about what your market actually is. And that to me just seems like such a shame.
Well, and I'd say even if you served exactly the same, personality is going to be different. And so going back to like bookkeepers, like I know 3 or 4 have very different personalities. And so depending on the person I'm talking with, I'm like, do you want somebody who's very funny? Do you want somebody who's very dry? Do you want somebody, like who do you get along with best? And I'm going to send you to them.
I mean, I would even say, even before the personalities, bookkeepers serve different types of industries.
Yes.
For very specific reasons because of the way money flows. You don't want the wrong bookkeeper.
No. Same with lawyers. Like,
Yes.
Do you need a family law or do you need an IP?
Are we just the weirdos that we think about these things like to an extreme degree? And we're always thinking about like, oh, in the market and so. But you and I do, and I think this is the power of the yes friend. I'm going to bring this whole season full circle right now.
Yay.
The power of the yes friend. You and I have a chance to dialogue and discuss in a safe, private space where nobody's listening but us. And we will talk about what somebody said at an event or what we observed or who we met or whatever. We have a chance to really figure out, because sometimes we get triggered where we're like, oh my God, I met this person. Like, oh my God, they do this thing and it's like mine. And then the more we talk about it, we're like, oh, wait a minute. Like that's totally different, you know? And so then when we show up at the event the next month or in a few weeks or next quarter or whatever, we're not weird. We don't feel weird about it. And how many times have so many of those people just like folded and like not persisted? Probably because they didn't process anything with a yes friend.
Yeah. Before you started, I was going to say, oh, it must be because I'm a writer. We've got ADHD. We're very empathetic. We can put ourselves in other people's shoes and like see all aspects of them. Or like as a writer, you have to create characters. You have to make them quite round and all different. Yeah. But I think you're absolutely right, because I remember many times where I would get a feeling about somebody, feel like a total bitch. And then like 3 weeks later, you would be like, oh my God, so this happened. And then I'd be like, oh, thank God. Okay, well, now I can tell you, here's what I picked up on. But I think that you and I, we've both had moments where we're like, I didn't feel confident. I didn't know what to do in that moment. Yeah, I was triggered by this. And I think having somebody where we've been able to say, safe space, say whatever you want, whatever your conspiracy theories are, who's having a divorce, sometimes
it's just straight up gossip.
Yeah, like before, I didn't have anyone to talk to, or I try to like catch up my husband, and he'd just be like,
I could totally see Jeff doing that.
Right? Like he wasn't there. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's like when my therapist is always like, so I only have your point of view. I will take everything with a grain of salt. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. Didn't hear it in that tone. Like, I think having that second person is a second viewpoint to help you see yourself from a different pair of eyes.
Yes.
And then also the other person to be like, oh yeah, I totally mapped that.
Did you do this for me all the time? Because your bullshit meter is much sharper than mine. And then I'll be like, yeah, like it was okay. And then I'll go full Pollyanna mode. And I'll be like, but it could be okay because whatever. And like driving back down I-84 to get to 205 and I'm behind the wheel and you're like, Mary, I hate to break this to you.
I know.
But you'll be like, so my read on it? And I'm like, damn it. But it has saved me so many problems. If nothing else, than to put a little salt in there and slow it down so that I can be like, okay, I'm going to not over prioritize this thing because it seemed like, oh, the potential, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, no, let the potential actually prove itself.
Yep.
And sometimes that potential has been just air. Just pure air. And then other times the potential has just been slow where it's like, no, I really needed to see it prove itself. And it does in that way, I don't get pulled off of like, girl, you got a to-do list. You have revenue generating activities already in place. Like, don't abandon those. And that has been very, very helpful. But then we've also been able to compare notes where we're like, am I imagining this? Did they really say that? Did that happen? And we're like, I think that happened.
Did we just get recruited to an MLM?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. In fact, you got recruited to 6.
Did.
All at the same time. That is a true story.
Yeah, we're bad coffee.
Speaking of that networking event, we both were standing in the corner and we're like, nobody's talking about their businesses. Oh, it is weird. It's weird. It's weird. Okay, we can go now. Instead of standing there like, is it me? Am I the problem? Is it me? And how many people go to things alone and they're like, oh my God, is it me? Sometimes you and I have approached each other and we're like, is it me? And then the other one's like, yeah, it's you. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's you right now. And then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you are just tired. Yes.
It's usually me like, I'm so tired today.
I think a yes friend can really boost your confidence. It helps, you got a wingman. It makes it all more enjoyable. You have somebody to go with.
A wingman is very helpful.
You can do the whole, have you met?
Especially when you're like me and you can't remember people's names.
And then also you can divide and conquer. BookCon.
I think that was all you conquering and all me dividing. You did not need a wingman at BookCon. Oh my God.
Well, no, I was your wingman. Wingman. I came back and I got Anthony Palmini's contact info. Here you go.
It's like, oh my God, I love you. Thank you. I'm so tired. It's like, I need an attitude change stat. And you're like, it's fine. It's not fine, Megan.
This is how we discover Megan is an extrovert.
Oh, it's so funny.
Bringing it back around to like our last episode with Catherine, an interview episode. You know, reading romance, you learn a lot about yourself. I think you learn what you're into, what sets you off, what you like to see in somebody and in yourself, how you would like to be. Certainly me, for like writing romance, I learned a lot about myself. And I think in networking with you, maybe we did just discover Megan is actually an extrovert and didn't know it.
I clocked that like 20 episodes ago.
Oh. It's not because I like reading, I'm an introvert.
But you get charged out of being around all those people. And I was like, oh, she is. You don't have to be hardcore extrovert, but girl, you got more extrovert in you than I will ever have in any molecule in my body.
Neither is right or wrong.
Neither is right or wrong.
Better than the other. It's going to take a while to step into that identity.
I was having a conversation with someone else and we were talking about, and I feel like it's very driven by social media, but sort of this modern inclination to want to be special, and that there's something about introversion that has become the unique, special, rare thing.
What? I thought most people were introverted.
No, the majority of the world are extroverts. And I feel like, because if you look at the entrepreneurial community, it's become very hip to be neurodivergent, to be ADHD, to have autism. It's become very popular to be an introvert. It's always been popular to be the rarest MBTI, an INFJ, even though 90% of the people who say they're INFJs actually don't test as INFJs. Just because you are not some statistically rare, big quotes, rare thing, doesn't mean you're not special. It doesn't mean that you're not effective. It's sort of like me doing human design, and when I'm in my woo side of sensible woo.
We're special.
Yeah, you and I are. We're manifester types, which is one of the second to most rare type statistically. Most of the world are generators. And when I have run charts in my old mastermind, so I would know and we could help them with like how they make decisions and how they operate and whatnot, the majority of people were generators and manifesting generators. And it was amazing how many of them were disappointed because they're like, oh, I'm in the majority. And I was like, you should be celebrating that you're in the majority. This world is built for you. That is a gift. Do you know how much I would give my right arm on some days to have a defined sacral? Because I'm so tired. And because I'm not meant to just go and go and go and go. And you're a manifestor too. You're not meant to go and go and go and go. That doesn't mean you're any less or more introverted or extroverted. It's just like a gas tank energy meter. When we're looking at some of these things, that helps us understand ourselves better so we can be more effective in our business activities. Understanding what if you discover and come to peace with, maybe I am more extroverted than my yes friend next to me here. Maybe not the most extroverted person ever, but certainly more than what Mary can handle. And you're like, well, this now informs you to make better choices about how hard you want to hit up certain things. Like there's just certain things you can do. Dude, if I could have had half of the stamina you had in New York, oh, dude, what a different experience.
I mean, dangerous.
I aside from the fact that I don't want to get down on a public floor and be face down like everyone else. The germaphobe in me was like, no, I draw the line. Like, I don't know what's on the bottom of your shoes and you just walked on the carpet in front of me. But there were people literally face down on the floor. And in my heart, I was like, I am face down on the floor with you.
Finally, we switched roles. We finally found your breaking point.
I know.
I love it. You will never again get shit for that.
I snapped so fast.
You did.
I snapped before we got into the door because we were in a 6-block long line.
And all I could think was the episode with Micah where I was like, wuss. And then, no, Mary's stronger than I am because she's admitting she can't walk it.
I was like,
really, girl, you're done?
I was done.
Check swatch. Really, girl?
Yes.
You done? It's been 2 hours.
Physically done, mentally done, emotionally done. And, and I think it's so important. Like, you and I have discovered so many things about ourselves by doing this podcast season. When we were talking with Micah, we were talking about like clinical diagnosis. And like, we all know now, like Mary's done the full diagnosis, not clinically anxious or depressed, but
just an introvert.
Just an introvert. I'm just an introvert. I wasn't having any of this because I was feeling a lot of anxiety. I know there were a lot of people who were there who were like, none of that. that. And so that was really useful data, actually. If anything, like I'm super glad I got to do it. I got to see important people in my life that I needed to see. That was worth its weight in gold. We had a good time and we got data out of it. I can't complain.
Yeah, so I think anybody who's starting to network, continuing to network, I think it's noticing what you learn about yourself. How do you show up in a room? How are people talking about you? Are people trusting you? Are you interesting? Do you have anything to share? You know, all of it. Get to know yourself.
As they say.
And go to therapy. All of it.
Was it the saying, whoever they is who says it, that entrepreneurship is the best self-development course you'll ever take?
Yep.
And it starts with networking.
That's it for today's episode of the Awkward Handshake.
We record at Sasquatch Media Grounds in Vancouver, Washington.
I'm Megan, co-founder of Fatcap Design and creator of PDX Spellbound.
And I'm Mary, founder of Sasquatch Media Grounds and Sensible Woo.
You'll find links to everything we mentioned, guests, resources, and ways to connect with us in the show notes on your favorite podcast platform.
That's also where you'll get updates on where we're headed next and when we're inviting listeners like you to join us for guided networking in person and online.
Don't be passive.
Click the links, pick better rooms. We'll see you there.